Hi there, it's the sixth Sunday of Easter, and I'm going to share my sermon for today. The readings are from the book of Acts, chapter 17, verse 22 to 31, and the book of Psalms, chapter 66, verse 8 to 20. So feel free to pause the video, have a read of those, and then come back. While I've been reading this week's scripture, I've also had in mind some different literature. This is the works of H.P. Lovecraft, my copy of The Call of Cthulhu and Other Weird Tales, and it came with this pair of 3D glasses, which you might have once used at a sci-fi cinema. And I've had his works in mind because he demonstrates something that humanity has often believed, that God is alien and frightening and unknowable. Lovecraft was a US-American writer in the early 20th century who wrote stories for pulp magazines, and during his lifetime he was never really greatly celebrated. He wasn't really well known, but he created a new genre of writing which is called cosmic horror, which has had a lot of influence on science fiction and horror, and it continues to have a lot of influence in writing and film and games today. But even by the standards of his time, he was considered incredibly racist. It seems like the horror in his stories was inspired by his own fear of racial difference and his own worries about his own racial purity or racial status. He tended to write about eccentric professors who unintentionally uncover secret knowledge that humans should not have rediscovered, knowledge about alien gods with lots of tentacles a lot of the time. Sometimes they're sleeping in space, sometimes they're sleeping below the surface of the ocean. And the academics from Lovecraft stories, they always come to an ill-fated end. It tends to go that what they've discovered is so far beyond anything humans can comprehend that they go insane because they can't handle what they've uncovered. And that's science fiction, but this is the way that human beings have often understood God. As today's psalm from the Old Testament, the Jewish scripture, demonstrates, human beings have often understood God as controlling everything, and that means controlling the good things and the bad things. Not every part of the scripture takes that view, but it's certainly a theme that comes up in the Jewish scripture and the Christian scripture. Yeah, the problem is that if God has rescued us from bad things that might have happened to us, then God created those bad things as well. When we see God controlling the beautiful sunsets, it means God controls the devastating cyclones as well. And it makes God an alien force beyond our control who we must be afraid of. Something beyond our comprehension. And in ancient Greek society, the gods had to be feared as well. They were seen as temperamental and unpredictable, and they had to be appeased with sacrifices. There were a lot of gods, so a lot of sacrifices had to be made. And it wasn't just to the big well-known gods like Zeus and Hera and Athena and Poseidon, because there were all these minor gods, spirits of nature, all around you. Every tree, every creek, every rock was understood to have like a small god, a nature spirit. And you needed to offer something to them as well. Everyone was concerned that they might have unknowingly upset a god. And so, in Athens, the Apostle Paul found a shrine to an unknown god. Somewhere that you could make a sacrifice just in case you had upset a god and not realized it. Now, as a Jewish person and as a follower of Jesus, Paul could have been offended by all of the statues of gods that he saw around the city. He could have been horrified by all of the foreign, strange worship that was happening around him. But he saw in this particular shrine a way to tell Greek people about what he had experienced, about the love that he'd discovered in Jesus. At one time, Paul had been disgusted by the strange teachings of Jesus, and he had been violently trying to eliminate the Christian movement. But what he had seen as strange and alien, he's now embraced. That changes the way that he approaches difference now. He no longer sees difference as a horror that cannot be comprehended. Now he can identify where there's a bridge that can create understanding in the middle of all the strangeness and the difference. We might have experienced God as being strange and alien beyond the comprehension of a limited human mind. But now, what was unknowable has become knowable to us. The one behind the scenes has been revealed to us in a form that we can understand. The great cosmic power has become a human being like us. Now the one ruling behind the scenes is somebody that we can relate to, somebody who understands what it's like to be a vulnerable human in a wild and uncontrollable and infinite world. It's someone who understands our struggles in the world. We have an ally cheering us on behind the scenes. And this one has come to us offering love, not fear, and calling us to also pass on love to others, even calling us to offer love to neighbours who seem strange and alien to us.